Hello Internet, this here is a demo of the features of the Roland EF-303 effects box bassline emulator and drum machine. And what I'm going to do is I've got the Electribe over here set up to play one of the sample tracks from the Electribe. I'm routing the audio through the RCA inputs in the back of the EF-303, back out of the EF-303 and just into a sound card, audio interface. The EF-303 has 4 banks of 4 presets. You can set these any way you want. I've obviously reset this back to the factory settings, and the different factory settings show off the different effects. The effects are listed across this line here. These buttons are used to just select the effects manually if you want. Filter, isolator, flanger, delay, reverb, pitch and delay, slicer, pan, compressor, and then this shift button, lo-fi, ring mod, phaser, voice, which is a little bit like a vocoder, and I think if memory serves it doesn't demo that well from the presets. This is another voice mod. Synth and delay, that's the bassline emulator with a little bit of delay. This is the clean bassline emulator, and then it's got a drum machine in there too. I'll be doing this, selecting the bank by hitting bank, and then bank 1, and then patch 1, or bank 3, and then patch 1, etc. You see this knob blinking, this light rather, blinking up here. The light of these 3 lights, the light that is lit and not blinking, is the one that the sequencer here will be controlling. These slide settings here are the values for each of the 16 steps. There's a transport control over here, but I've got MIDI connected to my Electribe so that when I hit stop and go over in the Electribe, it hits stop and go over here on the EF-303. While you're playing, instead of having, say, this knob be controlled by the sequencer, you can actually just hit the other buttons and have these other values control the sequencer. The meaning of these values is different depending upon which patch you have selected. The filter patch, it's labeled cutoff resonance, and then this is like a wet dry. This knob here is a balance. So what I'll do is I'll probably play a patch with just the drums, add a synth effect so you can hear that, maybe turn a knob or two, and maybe hit one of these buttons. This knob over here is the LFO rate, although on some of the settings, like for the reverb setting, it might be the depth or the time or the delay, etc. You really just need to open the manual on that one. There's also input and output settings. It's kind of a wet dry, it's not really a wet dry. When you have the effect out, the straight through signal could be a different level than when you have the effect in, so these are useful to set when you're using the thing so that you don't surprise your mix. There's also a headphone level out, which is kind of cool, and this Q setting, which lets you kind of preview what's going on. There's also, I may as well just show you now, if I can. I forget the setting, I'm sorry, but there's also a setting that turns these buttons into a keyboard. You get the white keys down here, and some of these light up to the black keys. Kind of cool, but frankly, I didn't have a whole lot of use for it myself. So, getting started. Like I said, I'll just go through the banks. The light that's selected down on this row, just so you know, is going to be whatever the patch is. And like I said, I'll hit play on just the drums and then on the synth, and you can draw your own conclusions. So here we go. This one's the isolator. You can kind of hear it. This becomes the low, medium, and high. This is the flanger. You see that the red button says that it's affecting the level. If you turn the knob while the sequencer is playing, you see the light blinks. Yeah, I think you can see that. The light blinks. The reason the light's blinking is because it's telling you that the sequencer isn't doing anything. Delay and pan. I never really got much effect out of this, to tell you the truth. Second bank is reverb. Again, I always thought this one was a little muddy. Pitch and delay. This is actually works great. By the way, when this light starts blinking, that means you've edited the patch. Slicer and pan, this is the slice rate depth. And then one of them sets sort of the floor of the slicer. This is the compressor. Oh, I didn't really go into these buttons over here. But low, medium, and high, it's marked frequency range, and again it's different per patch. This one is the sync type, they call it. It's useful for the delays as a quarter note, dotted eighth, that kind of thing. And then it changes per patch. For example, back on the drum kit, when we get there, changing this will select one of 4 different drum kits, etc. Where were we? 2.4, so we're up to 3.1. Bank 3, patch 1. Hit the drums. This is what they call a lo-fi, it's the big pressure. Maybe my least favorite of the patches. It's weird because you'd think a big pressure in a digital box like this would be alright. Ring mod. I actually like this one. You can also see they've got the sequencer set to randomize. I forget if you noticed, but on one of these it will actually chase back and forth. phaser. The phaser's actually not bad too. What they call voice. I don't know, I kind of like it. 4-1. This is another vocoder effect. This is just with the drums. Dry, wet. With the synths. Again, I think that one's kind of great. This is the bass line. In which case, it's just passing the drums through the thing there. That's the drums. Drums plus bass line. Resonance. For me, this is almost worth the price of admission. I don't love how it mixes the dry signal in. Oops, what did I do? Oh, when all else fails. And then these are the pitches. Nobody wants to hear the high notes. Let's hear the low notes. And it does have, in the menus, you have to kind of dig around. There's a bunch of shift menus down here on these black labels here. It does have the ability to force this into a chromatic or a key or whatever. 4-3. 4-3 is another bass line. This one doesn't have a delay on it. Oh, that's what the wheels on the other thing was, is the delay setting. Or one of them. It also has some menu options for tying, so you can get sort of held notes and portamento, and also silent notes, mute notes. Although just pushing them out of the audio range does the job for muting as well. And the last patch, 4-4, is the drum machine. What I like about the drum machine is that, number one, there are 4 positions, 4 instruments rather. All the way up is off. Then there's a snare in here. Then there's a hat. And the volume of the snare is controlled here if memory serves. Volume of the hats is controlled. Where is the hats? This is a reverb on the drum. Oh, I can hear that now. And then you can have different drum kits. And that's the tour. If you have any questions, I don't know, leave them in the comments or something, and I'll do what I can. Thanks for listening.